Ah. Whew. Okay. That was fucking scary. Okay, bed. That's fucking creepy. You open? Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh my god! What the fuck? Oh fuck him if he's not gonna kill me.
Hello everybody, Phil Anonymous here and welcome to a creepier video. Now if I was to say the word creepypasta, you'd probably think of something like this. Creepy, I know. But that's not what I'm on about tonight. Tonight I'm going to be telling you about the top 10 scariest, most terrifyingly evil, so evil it would fart in a telephone box and just run away. Leave you with the smell. It's fucking evil, I know. The top 10 most evil creepypastas God has ever seen. And then pause for the dramatic effect. Let's begin. The first on our list of creepypastas is God's Mouth. While two explorers go on the top of a big buggering mountain, they discover a cave. It says for them to keep out, but they enter anyway, because they're cheeky monkeys. As they go inside, they realize that the walls are very thick. It's very hard to breathe. As they venture further in, the man lets go of the woman's hand, and she wanders even further into the cave, alone. He's lost for some time until eventually he gives up. He finds himself in a room with 4 walls and no way out, sitting down and sobbing to himself. He feels the walls begin to touch his back. As his light fades, he notices the hand of his beloved girlfriend, who was taken by God's mouth only a few moments before. And as the light fades away, he becomes its next victim. Number 9 is The Grifter. Grifter is an alleged video that was first mentioned somewhere on 4chan's/x/image board. Watching it is said to be a soul-rendering experience, far more horrible than anything one could imagine. The image on the right is said to contain screenshots of some of the scenes in the video. Few that have watched it are said to have been killed in their own homes, with only one thing in common: a strange doll hidden somewhere in their home. There is a message by the end of the video in the constructed international auxiliary language Esperanto, and says, "This child, now a young man, is still alive and lives in a local shelter whose name was not given. He never spoke, and still is catatoni," which means sick. Number 8. Gateway of the Mind. In 1983, a team of deeply pious scientists conducted a radical experiment in an undisclosed facility. Scientists had theorized that a human without access to any senses or ways of perceived stimuli would be able to perceive the presence of God. They believed that the five senses clouded our awareness of eternity, and without them, a human could actually establish contact with God by thought. An elderly man who claimed to have nothing left to live for was the only test subject to volunteer. To purge him of all his senses, scientists performed a complex operation, removing every sensory nerve connection to the brain. Scientists monitored him as he spoke about his state of mind in jumbled, slurred sentences that he couldn't even hear. After 4 days, the man claimed to be hearing hushed, unintelligible voices in his head. 2 days later, the man cried that he could hear his dead wife speaking to him. After a week of conversing with the deceased through his thoughts, the subject became distressed, saying the voices were overwhelming. After another day, the subject could no longer form coherent sentences. Seemingly mad, he started to bite off chunks of flesh from his arm. Scientists rushed into the test chamber and restrained him to a table so he could not kill himself. For 2 weeks, the subject had to be manually rehydrated due to the constant crying. Eventually, he turned his head, despite his blindness, made focused eye contact with the scientist for the first time in the study. He whispered, "I have spoken with God, and he has abandoned us." And his vital signs stopped. There was no apparent cause of death. In at number 7 is the SCP Foundation. One of the most notorious of all the creepypastas, it has its own Wikipedia, categorizing numbers of hostile, terrifying creatures. A foundation that contains and protects us from these abnormalities, with its own murky, distorted past. Some of the creatures in there are hostile, and some are non-hostile. SCP-173 is one of the most famous, a supposed large possessed doll, made of stone. It seems to be motionless, but can move within the blink of an eye when focus is taken away from it. Once it reaches its victim, it snaps the neck. Not sure what its intention is. It's classed as a more dangerous of the SCPs. One thing is for sure, if this foundation does actually exist, well, imagine if they all got out.
Oh, shit.
The Slender Man is an alleged paranormal figure, purported to have been in existence for centuries, covering a large geographic area. Believers in the Slender Man tie his appearances in with many other legends around the world, including Fear Doob, or the Dark Man in Scotland, the Dutch Tankenman, Branchman, and the German legend of the Grobeman, or the Grossman, the Tall Man. Slender Man is a being who looks like a man with extremely long, slender arms and legs. He also appears to have 4 to 8 long black tentacles that protrude from his back. He is described as wearing a black suit, strikingly similar to the visage of the notorious Men in Black, and as the name suggests, appears very thin and able to stretch his limbs and torso to inhuman lengths. Whether he absorbs, kills, or merely takes his victims to an undisclosed location or dimension is also unknown, as there are never any bodies or evidence left behind in his wake to deduce a definite conclusion. Much of the fascination with Slender Man is rooted in the overall aura of mystery that he is wrapped in. Despite the fact that it is rumoured he kills children almost exclusively, it is difficult to say whether or not his only objective is slaughter. In the end, though, his purpose remains unknown. At number 5, it's the Russian sleep experiment. Russian researchers in the late 1940s kept 5 people awake for 15 days using an experimental gas-based stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas didn't kill them. Everything was fine for the first 5 days. The subjects hardly complained, having been promised, falsely, that they would be freed if they submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days. Their conversations and activities were monitored, and it was noted that they continued to talk about increasingly traumatic incidents in their past. After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were, started to demonstrate severe paranoia. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber, repeatedly yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight. He continued attempting to scream, but was only able to produce occasional squeaks. The researchers postulated that he had physically torn his vocal cords. After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure they were working, since they thought it impossible that no sound could be coming with 5 people inside. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they said they would not do to get a reaction from the captives. They used the intercom inside the chamber, hoping to provoke a response from the captives. They were afraid were either dead or vegetables. They announced that they were opening the chamber to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor, or you will be shot. But compliance would earn one of them immediate freedom. To their surprise, they heard a single phrase: "We no longer want to be freed." It all went downhill from there. They started to be killed off. They killed each other. They killed themselves, until there was only one left. During that time, they no longer needed to sleep. In fact, they stressed that they must be kept awake, and often they would violently attack the soldiers and the scientists they so much as tried to sedate them. Before the last one was shot, they asked him, "What are you?" "I must know." The last subject simply smiled. "Have you forgotten so easily?" he would say. "We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralyze when you go to the nocturnal haven where we cannot tread." He was shot. In his last words, he simply said, "So nearly free." At number 4, it's Pokemon buried alive. It's said that there lies a certain version of Pokemon where you must attack what looks and appears to be a zombie in the ground. The zombie's name is Buried Alive, and his attacks are almost incredible. But if he defeats you, he makes a statement about raw meat. Then the screen will go black. Shortly after that will be an image of your character being dragged underground. And the rest, you'll have to find out, won't you? Number 3 is the Tails doll. In the game Sonic R, there lies a cursed Tails doll with a red gem. It's a strange glitch, but it has been said that if you can win the game with the Tails doll, then the screen will cut, or he will jump out the screen at you. whatever happens, don't play it alone at night, because he may be the last thing that you ever see. Then Drowned, or Haunted Majora's Mask, is a well-known creepypasta, and later an alternative reality game created by Alex Hall, also known as Jadu Sable. The story revolves around a Majora's Mask cartridge that is haunted by the ghost of a boy named Ben. Ben takes the form of a Link doll, who will torment and plague your character. Whether he actually did die is beyond anyone's comprehension. Point is, there's so much evidence to back it up that it must be true. But it's said that it's when you turn the game off that it really gets scary. Number 1 is my favourite and most terrifying creepypasta, Jeff the Killer. Jeff was new to his neighbourhood, and on his first day of school, a bully tried to mug Jeff and his brother Lou, but it was then Jeff discovered his unnatural fighting ability. He enjoyed causing other people pain. A few days later, Jeff was invited to a party. He wore what to this day is known as his signature clothing, a white hoodie and black dress pants. At the party, the bullies who tried to jump Jeff and Lou, but this time they had guns. It led Jeff being covered in alcohol and bleach. One of the bullies had a lighter and set Jeff up in flames. Back at Jeff's house, his mother awoke, hearing something like crying coming from the bathroom. When she came to investigate, she saw her son. He had burnt out his eyelids so he could look on forever, and cut a smile into his face because his real smile started hurting his face. Jeff's mother went to tell Jeff's father, but little did she know that Jeff was standing in the doorway until it was too late. He killed both of them. Then he entered his brother's room, crawling onto his bed. Lou woke up and stared into his brother's face. Jeff looked down at him and simply said, "Go to sleep." Hello everybody, welcome back. Well, did you agree with my countdown? Let me know. What's that behind you? It's fine. Don't worry about it. If I was you, I'd just
go to sleep.